In a world where society is shaped by super powers and ego, a young man who sees all people like pigs impelent faces the bizarre reality of his own power. He has that right pigs. Diagnosed as a lunatic by doctors, and humiliated by his ex, who sees him as a dead weight. He discovers that his curse is actually a divine gift. Now with the god-level pig butcher profession, he is ready to transform his mental illness in a lethal weapon, and show everyone that recycled waste can be the biggest predator they will never see. You are on the channel, Capped, and that's the story we'll see today. You know right, actually subscribe here from the channel, leave the like at the beginning of the video, and shave the video as much as you can. Also check if you are already subscribed to the channel, and said that, no more wingdings. To start with this story that is simply fantastic. On a sunny morning in a great hospital on Earth, in the Department of Neurology, a young doctor faced the patient in front of you, and asked how, if you want to confirm. You said everyone who sees looks like pigs. And as you remained in orbit, did not deny or offer explanations. But your training was enough for the doctor. Her face healed slightly. She approached, bowed his head and asked, "You are playing with me, Malik, is saying I look like a pig to you too?" And Joel calmly lifted his eyes, and felt it with the same serene expression, confirming it was true. That beautiful face in your eyes was nothing more than a shining big rosy color. The doctor just froze, hopeless and a little embarrassed, murmuring that it was the first time I heard talk about a case like this. Her eyes shone as if she had an idea. Thought Yashun was incredibly beautiful, and it was a pity he had that bizarre condition. Deep breathing, she slowly opened the white coat zipper, revealing what we all here want to see. But that damn YouTube won't let. Insisted it wasn't seduction, but a medical exam. First, had to check whether the hardware of the boy was still working normally. Does anyone out there know where this office is? I think I need to be examined too. Smiling, she asked what he thought he was seeing, and confidently declared, "I am so funny that even someone mentally unstable wouldn't see me like a pig." In the eyes of Ichuan, but those two seductive hills on his chest, it was two pig heads. Strangely they even smile at him. Despite the shock in your eyes, Ichuan calmed down and confirmed once again, that in your mind, it really was two pig heads. A desperate question echo. How the hell should I feel? Excited by two pig heads. The doctor quickly covered his breasts and took a few steps back, screaming, "You're lunatic." After a few moments, the embarrassing atmosphere began to dissipate. The doctor pointed to a model of the spine on the table, and began to analyze. "Your spine is really in serious trouble. See, this part is totally different from a normal person. There are even some deformities pressing on your nerves, seriously affecting your visual cortex and brain function. Probably that's why you see everyone like pigs." And John just sat. Since I no longer expected empty diagnoses, what he wanted was a cure. But in response to your silent hope, only received a sigh. The doctor admitted, helpless, that the only solution would be to adjust your spine and brain. But the success rate was extremely low. If it failed, he could get paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of your life. When listening to this, and Chuan just gave a slight nod, as if he were listening to someone talk about the weather, then said, "Doctor, I like to speak. Can I have my spine back now?" The doctor was paralyzed for a moment. Confused, didn't expect him to believe that the cologne model on the table was really his. But I'm starting to think this guy has the mind of a pig. Observing your serious expression, although astonished, can't help but feel sorry for. What a waste. Such a handsome young man, but completely insane. The scene changed to a busy city street. Inside a crowded bus, and Joe was drowsy, firmly holding a folder, thick in your arms. Although the bus was full, no one dared to try to sit next to him. Probably because of the big words written in the folder. Severe mental disorder. Since childhood, Ishuan saw everyone around him like walking pigs. Maybe he had relationship to the fact that their parents are butchers. Actually, it didn't affect your daily life much. Except at one point. Choose a partner. Today was an important day. The day of awakening from the cloud. Ordinary people could awaken, like magician warriors, healers or archers. But he was nervous, because of your strange condition. What could become? And Joel hoped that after the ceremony, this affliction would just disappear. The scene cut for Kane Shang, where the ceremony of awakening from professions was performed thousands of years ago. and John mingled with the crowd as you walked through the gem gates. Sighed as he walked, concerned that your condition could affect the awakening process. If it happened, didn't know what the future had in store for him. It was then that a happy voice called him, breaking your thoughts. And Joan, you finally arrive. If it took a little longer, I swear I would kill you. Before I could react, a beautiful girl appeared next to him and slapped him, playful on the arm. But in your eyes, her delicate hand was nothing more than a piece of work equipment. Beating it, and John shuddered and turned to look. And as always, there was no beauty, dazzling, in front of you, just a fat, ugly nut, smiling at him that it doesn't have to humiliate either. When seeing your expression, the girl was furious and ashamed at the same time. Eden said, "Why do you always look at me like that?" And John remained silent. Didn't know how to answer. I had no idea what she really was like. I just knew you felt suffocated when hugged by such an ugly pig. Another close girl teased Shuriken Joe. And exhumed again. You two cling together like a couple every day. Is exhausting. I think someone is jealous, eh? Another person completed. They are childhood friends. Who knows, maybe after today they get married and have several children. The provocation made Shulian Xuan blush intensely. She told him to stop talking, pulled the Xuan to quickly move forward. Xuan's whole body was covered in sweat. And all he saw was a red-faced pig. Happy chattering by your side. Inside it a strange feeling, indescribable, began to appear. The scene changed again. Now into the game. To fill. Student queues were lined up, according to your identification numbers, all tense as they waited their turn. The instructor's voice echoed firmly, imposingly. The awakening ceremony is about to begin. Now it's time to show the results of all years of hard work. Strength, agility, and spiritual power. These three attributes, power plants, would determine which cloud each would awaken. The higher the attributes, greater chance of awakening a powerful class. The director asked the students who concentrated all your mental energy and give it your all. The sadness they that day would mold your whole future. If they could awaken a high-level combat class, it would be like challenging one's own destiny, becoming a legend, a symbol of glory admired by all. And of course, such a feat would bring endless honor to the air in the hall looked heavy. Every angle carried a mixture of hope and anxiety. As you slowly approached the awakening stone, placed in the center of the hall, after the signal, the first citizen advanced and placed his hand on the stone. She agreed, but showed a disappointing result. Support class, mechanical welder. The corpse got its mouth open, completely astonished. Nobody expected such a result. Even the director next to her shook his head in silence. The second championship, support class, advanced mason. The third, support class, low-level support. The crowd began to murmur. None of the top three had awakened a combat intelligence. The atmosphere became tense. The magic room walked forward, slightly tremendous, each step than the last. Despite the hesitation, put your hand on the stone, but this time, it was completely different. The stone shone with intense light. A golden glow has spread, and after a few seconds of detention, the result appeared light. Of combat, shadowless blade dancer. Rare class. The whole hall was silent for a moment. Then exploded in applause. Oh my god, a rare class? It's the first time I've seen someone wake up like shadowless blade dancer. He's really lucky. The director immediately advanced, radiant smile. Continues, what is your name? The boy who had just woken up the princess. Rare responded respectfully. Now full of confidence, quite different from previous nervousness. Director, my name is Li Dingblom. Ignoring the boy's proud tone, the director praised him. Is a great name, go home and rest. Later, I would visit personally your family to discuss your life plans. And the Long Dane came out of the altar radiant with pride. At that moment, knew that his destiny had turned a new page. The crowd kept applauding. Long brother is amazing. The ceremony continued in an atmosphere of enthusiasm, so the director looked at the list and shouted loudly. Next, issue 1. All eyes turned to H1. About sunlight, he walked slowly and firmly towards the Julian stone. H1 blushed and looked at him with hopeful eyes, murmuring softly, Brother H1, you can. How to clear all your courage and hope in that whisper. One of the teachers next to the ceremonial altar watched H1's back with delicate expression. Knew a little about the boy. In your vision, H1 was mentally weird, but his attributes told another story. While most people had in total about 3 strength points, agility and spirit, and Joe had 10 points more than triple the average. The director secretly prayed for a miracle, and John advanced and fell, calmly hand on the awakening stone. Suddenly, a bright light exploded. followed by an angry swirl, who made everyone's hair fly back. The crowd instinctively retreated. The director's eyes frowned in shock, and he screamed, "That color, golden purple." That's at that moment the text appeared on the stone. Divine class images, pig butcher. God level. And Jo was astonished, rolled her eyes at the words, pig butcher. The director, who was still excited, froze in place. Because such a cruel irony. The full title on the stone shone in red. Support class, pig butcher. God level. For a moment the hall was in absolute silence, until an explosion of laughter echoed. God level, pig butcher. This can only be a mistake, a divine cloud, and it's for beating pigs. Ridiculous. What kind of divine class is this? What an idiot job. You can't even tell if this guy's lucky or cursed. The director's face darkened. Taken by repentance. Can only be heaven's joke with me. In all my years as a director, after so much effort, finally witness someone awaken a god-level belief. And ends up being like a pig butcher. The most mysterious cell that exists. If only he had woken up like the blacksmith, potion master or healer. I could be proud. But this, the greater the hope. Deepest disappointment. With a heavy sigh, the director told Ishuan to get off the platform. At that very moment, a glow came up in Ishuan's eyes. In front of you, a system interface appeared, displaying detailed information. Lighting system, activated name, Ishuan Rain. Apprentice. Level 1. Attributes, Strength 5, Agility 3, Spirit 2, Talents in the Small Diamond, Swang Nemesis. Causes 50% more damage against pig-type enemies. Earn 1% of talent growth to every dead pig. Receives 50% less damage from attacks by butcher god blade pigs. Choose a weapon to designate as your butcher knife. Every pig killed with that weapon grants 0, a free attribute point. Intelligence skills, Small Diamond, Level 1 Blood Shadow Carnage. Emits murderous intention, making pigs go into a state of fury. For a second, and Joan froze for a few seconds and began to tremble, slightly, read every line carefully, and when the sentence came up, causes 50% more damage against pigs. He can't help but smile, for the first time in your life. His bizarre condition actually looked like a blessing. He looked at the crowd around him. And as always, in your eyes, all were pigs. Everywhere, the moment Ishuan came down from the altar, all kinds of complicated expressions were written about him. Shock from mockery. Arrepentimiento, along with a wind of whispers. He had awakened a god-level belief, but turned out to be a pig butcher. The impact was like falling from the sky straight into hell. If John had awakened a combat intelligence, god level, the best schools would have competed to recruit him, investing all possible resources at their potential. And Ding Long shook his head in a mocking tone, your eyes full of satisfaction. Ah heck, I really thought our school here in Chang had finally produced a dragon, but it turned out to be just a pig butcher. Exactly. Someone replied, so much uproar, so that, just for a butcher farm. This is hilarious. When listening Lydia and Lum, students around hurried in flattery. Such a garbage job. That it used to be god level, is not as useful as a high level alchemist. Brother Liu Jinlong. The school that is swarm only has one real dragon. And this is you. No problem. John awaking as a pig butcher. God level, it just shows that he is continuing his father's legacy. Uncle I will surely be proud. My dad will be happy too. Amidst all this mockery, only Shuling Xuan took a step forward. She stood on tiptoe, and slightly slapped her, Xuan's head. He just sat calmly. Thank Xuan and Shuling Xuan were neighbors. His parents were ordinary workers and from an early age, families talked about marrying them in the future. Unfortunately, in the eyes of Chuan, Shulim Chuan always out like a pink nut. Chubby. Fall in love with a pig. It was just too hard. When seeing the scene between the two, the students around turned green with envy. Thought. Zhou was incredibly lucky to have such a beautiful girlfriend. At this time, the director put the next name to be tested. Coincidentally, it was Shuling Xuan. She showed her tongue playfully, and ran to the altar to wake up. It's my turn now, Ishuan. Will I mom's sewing profession? Or daddy's beverage manufacturer? But it doesn't matter which cloud wakes up, I will always be by your side. When listening to these words, Ishuan gave his eyes in shock. He could feel the depth of the feelings of Chulim Ishuan. By him waited anxiously to see which, surely she would wake up. But early or Ichuan awakening. As a butcher of the few god level, had already attracted all attention to him. The crowd was settled. No one paid attention to the next candidate. But at the exact moment when Shilian Shuan, place your hand on the awakening stone, something strange happened. A thick pillar of black light rose from the stone, shooting straight to the sky. His charisma reflected in the eyes of all present, making your gloomy expressions like ink. The school courtyard, that moments before it was full of noise, involved in a deadly poison. All were paralyzed in shock, open mouths and facing the huge black pillar. Only when a terrifying scream broke through the silence, the crowd woke up. Legendary class. Someone awakened a legendary class. All eyes turned to slender figure over the strange black light, Julim Chuan, already incredibly beautiful. Now she looked like a coming out of an old painting. Around through darkness, a mysterious aura covered his figure. Atop the altar, bright words appeared. Combat class, legendary ranking, immortal of the sword of the icy soul. The director's look, keen fixed intensely on the black pillar, flaming in the sky. A legendary combat class. How is this possible? Her two parents were just life-as-ill classes. This is a mutation. Jimin's face blushed with excitement. He ran to Shulin Xuan. Radiant smile. Don't worry. What you need. Just say the school that fills will give you all the support you need for its development. But Julian and Jo didn't look happy. She briefly and coldly thanked the teacher, and slowly descended from the altar. The crowd began to doze off in low tones. One is wizard of few god level, and the other is a legendary immortal swordsman. Do you think Chulim and Chuan will still cling, or Chuan is before? Need to ask. Chulim Chuan is a genius and Chuan is nothing. If he has common sense he will walk away in silence. Everyone knows from now on, their paths will soon part. Congratulations Jilinho and Jo said, and it's Jo clapping. Your expression was kind. Your sincere smile. I really wish you the best. But in the eyes of Chulim Chuan, a complex emotion shimmered vaguely. Confused, to Berlin. Then your tone changed Chuan. I admit there were some misunderstandings between us. But now none of that matters anymore. We no longer belong to the same world. Chuan's eyes swelled with disbelief. Didn't expect the girl to change so. All present turned to him, their faces laden with mocking smiles. She had just awakened a legendary intelligence, and immediately announced that they were breaking the bonds. All right, this Chuan calmly replied, as if nothing had happened. But for others, and especially for Shrek and Chuan, its calm seemed only a mask to hide the wounded pride. I know this must come as a shock to you. Don't try to pretend to be strong. Do you really think a butcher has a future? Please don't blame me. Taramba, what foot in the ass was this? Your voice embargoed, your look to Manhwa was surrounded by pity. If you have no objections, so let's wrap this up over here. Hope it doesn't bother me anymore. And Jo lightly frowned. A big chattering in front of me. Finding bell pepper and still telling me not to disturb you. Go splinter for that in. Cutting ties with a pig was no reason to grieve. On the contrary, felt relieved to get rid of her. If there is nothing else, I will be going. This reaction put the Chalho and Chuan, totally unsuspecting. Liu Donglong advanced, her eyes burning to look at her. Lin Chuan wants me to teach this guy a lesson, show him where he belongs. When he saw that Lin Chuan didn't even bother to answer, Liu Donglong felt humiliated, turned around and discounted his frustration in Lin Chuan. Hey, your damn butcher comes here. At that moment, Chuan was immersed in thoughts, wondering where you could find a pig to beat and climb. Level. Didn't even notice the scream, ignoring completely. Liu Dinglong's face darkened with fury. A simple butcher dared to ignore someone with a rare combat class like him, already angry since before, when Ishuan had stolen the. Liu Dinglong finally exploded. I'm talking to you. Is deaf. He stepped forward, and Ishuan by the arm. Ishuan looked at him indifferent. Without saying anything, her calm eyes ran through the fleshy face of Lyndon Long without any emotion. It was that look, the kind of look he made Lyndon Long feel as if it were being observed by a natural predator, a shiver your body. Instinctively, pushed back several steps until it stumbled and fell heavily to the ground. Your face froze in unbelief. What was it? Just to look and made themselves feel like a pig tied in the dry, waiting to be shot down. When they see the fear of Liu Dinglong, the students fell into mocking laughter. Someone ran to help you, asking worry. You are fine. What happened? Humiliated and surrounded by laughter, Liu Dinglong turned red with anger. Your body trembled with fury. Recycled garbage. How dare you look at me like that? You're nothing but a damn butcher. Who the hell thinks is blinded by hate? No longer held back, Liu Dinglong threw a punch straight at Ishuan's face. Like a warrior of the dark blade. Even without a gun, his blow carried the sharpness of a blade, and increased physical strength. That was the scary power of a combat cell, but Ishuan did not back down, instead, punched back. His basic attributes were already incredibly high. Added the ability to be the natural enemy of the race. Swinet's power received a huge boost. While your opponent's was half. The fists collided. The clear sound of breaking bone echoed Liu's face. Long rose at the same instant. He screamed and staggered back. grabbing the hand, who was now grotesquely twisted. The crowd was astonished. Absolute space took over the place. No one imagined that something like this could happen. Impossible, you're just a butcher. And the long stuttered terrified. In this world, no matter how much a lifestyle class was, Strom was still considered an ant in the face of a combat class, and yet a butcher has just broken his hand. And Joe answered calmly, I'm a butcher. It's natural for me to have a little strength in my arms. Then your eyes narrowed slightly. But you couldn't even beat someone like me. So what does that make you? Students were completely shocked by what witness. Couldn't help but wonder what had just happened. When they see Liu Jiamon's twisted arm, after facing Ishuan, and the Long Jin was on the edge of the cloud, curious and terrified. Never expected to have my arm broken by a butcher. Shut up. I will take your life for this. Right after, a spiritual blade arose in his hand, a saber with spiritual energy. With the very shadow of death. This was the characteristic skill of the class, warrior, of the dark blade. Manifest weapons through energy. The crowd immediately retreated in a panic. And Joe always finished for good. Because he went to argue with warrior, I should have just given my head down, and apologized. This is a rare combat class, too powerful. If he had surrendered from the beginning, none of this would have happened. Dealden Long pointed his gun at Ishuan, full of confidence. Gabo, is that? His saber was sharp enough to cut off his arm. Like noodles. Said if Ishuan knelt and apologized. Perhaps consider letting him live. Otherwise, I swore I destroyed it right there, holding the illusory saber tightly. Prepared to invest, willing to risk everything. His pride did not allow him to bear size, humiliation in front of so many people. But before you could move, snowflakes began to fall from the sky. The snow, as if it had a life of its own, stuck to Long Lilium, freezing in place. At the same time, he felt an overwhelming sword and tension. Bang over it, like a lethal predator, forcing himself to turn his head, shouted angrily. Because it's helping him face a legendary class of combat like hers. It was impossible. He knew very well that he had no chance. Lin Chuan coldly responded, I leave alone. Snowflakes twirled around him non-stop, making the air so cold it seemed to freeze. The icy atmosphere made it look absolutely terrifying. Told them both to stop. I didn't want them to fight over her. Speaking as if it were someone worthy of being contested, she walked slowly to Ishuan, with a proud expression. Ishuan, as you can see, we no longer belong to the same world. This is the last time I will help you. Consider this a farewell to the past. Her words just bored Ishuan. He wondered why that ugly pig was so confident, nor Xuan, so he advised, and Xuan leaving the gem as soon as possible, ribbed Long. Go back for revenge. I won't help you next time. Ishuan yawned and turned to leave. If you have already, I'm going to watch your back as you walk away, looked laden with. Some noticed that he didn't seem to care, not a little, for being abandoned by Lin Xuan. But others thought he just pretended to be strong. Hiding your insecurity through the abyss that had grown between them. Away back home. Ishuan danced alone down the street in Stockholm, lost in thoughts about the system he had just obtained. And how could I level up as fast as possible? Around a corner, heard a sudden bar. A disheveled gray dog. Collar loose. Showed his teeth and blocked his way. Behind the animal, the owner did not demonstrate her intention to contain it. On the contrary, the woman even smiled. The high barks made Xu's ears wander. In your eyes, there was a four-legged pig. And a two-legged pig in front of you, both facing the same nasty and hostile look. Trying to keep calm, and John spoke politely. Autumn could please your dog. Please, he's blocking my way. The woman screamed in his face. This is your private street, or what young people today don't have. No love for animals. You are big and strong because you are teasing a puppy. What a dog understands. It's not like he bit you. You have no education. And Joe was psyched. I was too exhausted to discuss, and at that moment, had something else I wanted to test. Walked directly to the four-legged pig, and shoot a sequence of shots, sending the dog straight beyond. The sudden attack left the woman paralyzed with fear, only managing to let out incomprehensible screams. Tremendous. She stumbled to the dog's lifeless body and cried, Son, don't scare mom like that. At the exact moment the dog died, and John received a notification from the system. Asuriro Ishuan killed a member of the pig breed. Plus 0.1% of giving bonus against the pig breed increased by 1 more. Exactly as expected, Ishuan cannot contain excitement. His mental illness had become the basis of his power. Because to him everything looked like a pig. Their ability to parasitize pigs was effective against all living creatures. Not even the dogs were incense at this time. The woman came out of the shock, in rage, ran towards Xuan screaming, "Here bastard, how dare you kill my son and abuse an elderly woman? Now I will fight to the death with you." and Joam remained calm, took a medical document out of his pocket, and declared, "I'm mentally ill." The woman froze when she saw the official medical record. Her vision darkened when she noticed her reaction, and Jo knew that the problem was solved. Ask, still have something to say if I don't leave. The woman remained motionless, as if it had turned to stone. Never imagined coming across a Luid if he suddenly lose control and dismemberment. She too would die in vain. Your attitude changed instantly. A happy smile appeared on her face, and she made sure everything was fine. Even recommended that Joo take care of his health, and Joo kept the document and went home. Upon arrival, told parents about the tribe, butcher legend that he had just obtained. However, Gansu and Kyan, they didn't seem surprised or disappointed. Received the news with humble smiles. And Kyan thought it was great that Joan could take over the family business. Said it was much better than spending the days fighting monsters. Even decided to take him to the Matador the next day to familiarize yourself with the war. He believed firmly that Ishuan would become the most feared butcher in all mankind, someone whose name would make pigs all over the world tremble with terror. After talking to parents, Ishuan decided to sleep early that night to prepare for the visit to the killer. The next day, every time you kill a pig, my damage increases by 1%. But outside your bedroom window, a figure dressed in black appeared, and Kine noticed the presence immediately. And in a serious tone said, "You saw yourself. My son is just an ordinary butcher. Stop with our lives." The man in black replied angrily, "A legendary class butcher. Do you think it's common? Unbelievable. You can. Your child ended up becoming a butcher. Are you sure he is? Even your biological child wants us to do a DNA test." Paused in this way. An icy killer aura exploded from Akian's body. Dense and overwhelming. Already said stop bothering us. If you keep pressuring me, don't blame me for being rude. The man let out a strange and chilling laugh. Relax, I'm just. If your child is really just the butcher, the organization will no longer bother them by saying this. Disappeared in the dark. The next morning, Ishuan went with his father to the slaughterhouse, where he works for many years. Once they entered, a strong stench of blood mixed with pig feces filled the air, and Kine seemed to be having fun with the surprised looks of other workers. Wemo took the child to his own work area. There was a set of special used exclusively for beating pigs. He believed firmly that a large butcher must have an excellent blade. Offered the Ijua the chance to choose any knife he wanted from the set. And Zhou walked to the support and put on a thick, heavy knife. The instant he held, felt your incredible weight, so much that even the blind side could crush a human skull. So the system sent a notification, specialized butcher knife selected. Effect of the divine slaughtering blade. Activated. Every dead pig with this blade will consider 0.13 attribute points. At that moment the Hian's look turned to a pig hanging upside down. In automatic transport he was debated letting go of the gruy of the angry. Gigian explained that the first thing a butcher needed was to learn how to use the knife correctly, and instructed Ikian to try to kill the pig based on in their instincts, aiming at the weak point, and finishing with the only blow. And John walked slowly to the animal, the heart taken over by anxiety, holding the newly selected knife firmly, his cold, emotionless eyes fixed on the target. Thanks to the overwhelming force, lifted the blade and pushed the pig hard. Let out an agonizing scream that echoed throughout the slaughterhouse. Fresh blood gushed like a fountain, across the floor. 3 seconds later, the poor pig finally stopped breathing. The system immediately displayed a notification. Cut pig slaughter. And Chuan successfully slaughtered a fat pig. Experience 1 more %. Damage against the swine attribute increased by 1%. Plus 0, a free attribute point. And Kine laughing. Very well said, recognizing Chuan's strength, but watching with slight disappointment that the blow did not have enough precision, since he failed to kill the pig instantly. Reminded the son of aiming into the main artery. If the blade were fast and relentless enough, the animal would not even have time to play. And Joam just sat, showing that he understood, although his face remained virtually featureless. Seeing that the son did not seem excited about the bat, and that did not encourage him. I know that killing pigs repeatedly can be boring, but it is from this office that we derive our sustenance. Before I could continue, and John interrupted with a gesture, pointing to the herd of pigs, and asking permission to beat the rest. When seeing the son's initiative, and Hulong laughed proudly, "This is my boy. If you want, can even beat Uncle Lee's pigs. And Uncle Sheen's too." Thus began the journey of Ixuano. As the killer's butcher, he repeated the process countless times, until he gained skill. At the beginning, needed to use his skills and various blows to finish the work, but as it perfected, started to get, slaughter a clean pig in just 3 strokes. Sometimes with your dominant hand, only one, sending the animal away without even a winch. Just like the father, Kamo Temple, Chuan techniques have visibly improved. He no longer needed to depend on any ability. The amount of strokes needed continued to decrease, and of course to every dead pig, the system notified God slaughterer of pigs, and Joe successfully slaughtered a matic pig. Experience 1 more person. Damage against swine fever increased by 1%, plus 0, a free attribute points. At the end of the day, he had beaten a total of 49 pigs. His damage bonus against swine fever had reached 100%, and its 3 main attributes, they had gone up from 10 to 14. If his arms weren't so sore to the point to no longer be able to raise, would have continued to beat them a few more. Kine's colleagues were impressed, were shocked by the speed with which his son learned. Some even questioned whether Xuan was really your biological son. After all, in just 1 day, he had achieved what it took a whole week. For them, proud of the compliments, and Kia opened a radiant smile. Don't be so surprised. My son is a god-level butcher. But this meant Xuan's requirement was limited to hitting few. Otherwise, and who believed, for real, that your son could become a butcher? So terrifying, that would make the whole world tremble before him. At that moment, Xuan still faced carefully the butcher knife in your hand. A strange feeling arose inside him. Couldn't explain why, but kill pigs looked incredibly relaxing and satisfying, like I can keep doing this forever without getting tired. Right there, Xuan gained absolute confidence. Even if someone has a combat intelligence, maybe you can't beat me. Maybe it was time to leave the killer for a little trip. The next day, Xuan packed his backpack and left the house. Inside was his butcher knife, some food, water and drink. Beating pigs and the killer was safe, but the efficiency was too low. This world was inhabited by countless races and infested with monsters. Humanity was no longer divided by national borders, but by the Human Federation that developed 9 special zones. The city of King Shang, where this year lived, was on the edge of the Special 5 zone. As soon as someone left the area of influence of human territory, had to face a variety of dangerous races, many of which humans saw as food. With everything for those with combat intelligence, the outside world was the best place to train and strengthen. Always stay in safe environments meant never becoming a true elite warrior. Before leaving town, Xuan underwent a simple registration procedure at the gate. Orla remembered him as the professional of life skill. You are only allowed to act in a ray of a kilometer from the city. Getting out of it is extremely dangerous. Understood, replied Xuan, obediently signing. Before turning around and moving on, his calmness left the guards slightly surprised. The world outside was nothing like city security. With the solid taken by tall herbs that grew out of control. The further it went on, quieter everything got, until only the sound of the wind remains, passing through your ears. When entering a dense thicket, Xuan was on alert, had the vague feeling that something or someone was watching. Pulled the backpack forward and put his hand about your reliable butcher knife. Suddenly, a black shadow leaped from the bushes. It was a humanoid creature, about a meter high. Green skin, holding a small knife, and screaming as he advanced against Xuan. He faced him, and quickly identified his race, goblin. Without hesitation, Xuan activated the skill, Butcher's Blood Shadow. A wave of murderous intent exploded, making the goblin freeze with fear for a full second. At that moment, Xuan took advantage, walked forward and delivered a blow from top to bottom. The goblin didn't even have time to react before being cut in half. Thanks to the 100% skill damage bonus, Tignemesis. Eliminate it was very easy. A system notification emerged. Butcher and Xuan slaughtered a special pig, using the butcher's knife. 5% experience. Damage bonus against swine fever, increased by 1%. Plus 0, a free attribute point, and Joe realized that the stronger the creatures resembling pigs he killed, the better the rewards would be. After all, kill an ordinary pig gave him only 1% experience. This goblin gave 5%. The time to kill goblins and pigs, it was practically the same, but the reward for the goblin was clearly better. He remembered the teacher's warning. Goblins are cunning, aggressive and highly united. If one appears in front of you, the real ones will ambush you from behind. In other words, if there was a goblin there was definitely a whole group around. Just as Ichan predicted, a bunch of goblins slowly came out of hiding. Their eyes burned with fear as they faced him, but Ichan only via big bags of experience. He screamed with a smile, "Come ugly pigs." The goblins advanced in unison, and Joe did not shy away. On the contrary, his butcher knife ran into the middle of the group and started killing. At this time, the goblins occupy firmly at the bottom of the food chain. If not for the insane reproduction fee, your species would have been extinct a long time ago, and Ground wielded the knife again. The closest goblin didn't have the time or give up. Before falling dead motionless, without even struggling, the system continued to sweat notifications as each one pushed each butcher goblin. Ichan killed a special pig, using the butcher knife. 5% experience. Bonus against swine fever. 1% plus 0,1 free attribute points, and John cut clean every vile point. For him, those goblins, fierce, were no different than wild pigs. In a killer, as long as it reached the weak point, killing a goblin or a pig made no difference. In the end, only one goblin was left alive. He trembled with terror to see his knees fall. His body shook uncontrollably. And when he found Ichuan's cold and still look, turned and ran, but Ichuan wasn't after. Instead, silently followed him the distance, knowing that goblins lived in tribal groups. Following one meant finding the whole nest. And in fact, the goblin ran into a dark cave. And Joe didn't hesitate, stopped the location, the corners of the mouth bowing in a chilling smile, praised. The smile of a true maniac. Moments later, agonizing screams of goblins echoed from the bottom of the cave. The strong smell of blood had quickly filled the air. With the skill bonus, Swine's Hell Nemesis. Now on 100% damage, and armed with the slaughter techniques passed down by his father, the Iguan blade was moving with unbelievable speed. 1 hour later, there was not a single goblin left alive in the cave. The floor soaked in blood. It was covered with scattered bodies. Most intact. Except for one detail, a deep, clean cut at the root. A fatal blow going out of combat mode, and Joe began to review his results. In just 1 hour, had killed 73 goblins. It was risky, but the power gain in the jungle was far beyond what I could get in the killer. An hour of struggle, equivalent to a full day of pig slaughter. Current attributes of Chuan. Strength 25, Agility 25, Spirit 25, Swine Tribe memes bonus 120%. And Sa and Joe advanced deeper into the cave. How much more came in? Stronger became the stench of blood and root. Nauseating to the point of giving rise. Inside, found what it looked like. The breeding ground was still intact and several goblin children. Despite the immune said, the woman showed no signs of abuse. Her eyes whitened with hope. The instant he saw Dijon, even with the gagged mouth, she struggled to make Moji sounds, begging him to save her. In the eyes of Joe, all creatures in the world were pigs. Even that girl. Tremendous fear made you feel nothing. The girl's mudgy sounds sweated to him like a pig's crane, about to be put down, with the expressionless face, slowly raised the butcher's knife. The scene terrified the girl. That ended in silence, screaming in despair and begging not to be killed. Actually, Ichuan, I was just killing the 2 little ones, goblins next to her. Though the woman was an ugly pig in his eyes, her clean clothes proved that she had not been violated by the goblins. And Joe was not a murderer. Realizing that he just cut your shackles to release her, the woman was extremely surprised. Moments before, I believed I was about to die, since most adventurers believe that people raped by goblins did not deserve to live, and Joe told her not to worry, for all goblins had been wiped out. The girl, little by little, he calmed down when he realized that he had been saved, then ran to hug him tightly, crying intensely. Thank you very much. I almost got raped by those goblins. You killed them all. You are really very strong, is a professional warrior. She kept asking, but Ichuan did not respond, just turned around and slowly came out of the cave. Seeing this, the girl quickly introduced herself as Qian Anan, and asked your name. Only then did Ichuan respond with a will. Outside, he pointed the way back to town, and prepared to keep hunting more pig. The power gained from killing excited him deeply. But shortly after, realized that Qian Ana was in orbit. When she let her guard down, Ichuan approached without making any noise, frightening to the point of cloud of dread. He asked why she wasn't coming back to town, and insisted on following him. Was she a goblin spy? Irritated, Ichuan pulled the butcher's knife. The steel reflected a cold glow. Qian Ana turned pale like paper. Wait, don't kill me. I don't dare go alone. It was clear that she was still traumatized by the goblin's nightmare. If not for Joanna's arrival in time, the consequences would have been terrible. He asked why she had appeared there. She replied that Mother's birthday, it would be in a few days, and that he wanted to bring her a blood flower as a gift. So he had gone out in hiding to look for her, but ended up being captured by goblins. Noting that the Isquan knife was damaged, the girl reached a deal. If he helped find the blood flower, she would help get the best blacksmith of the city to forge a new knife, and Joe did not attach much importance to the subject. Asked if she had any idea how much it cost. Send the best blacksmith in town, create a weapon. I doubted she had so much money, and said to go back alone and not follow him anymore. The girl got confused and thought if that man had any mental problems. After all, she was a beautiful young woman with a seductive body. Then why did he always treat her so coldly? Terrified of being alone behind, John then asked if he knew who his father was. Introduced herself as the daughter of Chia Beihai. John's heart was squeezed immediately. In the city, the Chia family, it was a power that could not be underestimated. Chia Beihai was a powerful expert that had just reached the big level. Master 9, just one step from the reign of Holy Master. At that moment, all of Joe's surveillance is gone. A smile shone on her face. He had been tormenting himself over how to get a high-quality, butcher knife. His parents were just ordinary people and couldn't help you, but the Chia family. She was so rich that not even burning all the money manages to spend it. They could certainly find a skilled blacksmith. Then the girl took out a small locket, a magnetic amulet with a Kia character. When I left home, my dad gave me this to protect me. Same specialists. Transcendence couldn't hurt me. Only those goblins were treacherous and ambushed. That's why I was captured, but they couldn't touch me. That's why they kept me locked. His voice got lower and lower, as if I had been ashamed. Ishuan what they said. But how had he killed so many goblins, supposed to be a god-level professional? Come on, said Xuan, smiling and suggesting she lead the way. That smile suddenly made her uncomfortable. Didn't know why, but within her feelings arose confidence and distrust at the same time. Following the map, it didn't take long for them to find the first monster, a gigantic rhinoceros that passed calmly. His whole body was covered in thick plates of unether silver, who shone in the sun. Aunt Niana advised, we need to stay in Berlin, and not bother you if that rhino gets angry. His strength equals a level 7 apprentice, we better go around. But before you finish speaking, Xuan was already standing, holding his butcher knife. Walking slowly towards the animal, pointing the blade at the beast, screamed, if you dare to eat grass today, or use eating people tomorrow, there's no way to let him live. Sana was not horrified. I had no idea where Esquan took away such an absurd logic. Was that really something a normal person would say? But at that moment, Isquan was already running towards the monster. To the girl's terror, the rhino noticed it too. But before I could react, Ichuan was already right in front of you, wields a knife. The animal only managed to lift its head once, before a red cut shone on your throat. Ichuan kept hitting several times, until the poor Rehina fell to the ground. Without even being able to let out a roar, Aunt Nana remained paralyzed in shock. Never expected Ichuan could kill the rhino so easily. After all they were famous for, your extreme defense, his thick silver armor was considered practically impenetrable, and yet, before Ichuan, the monster could not withstand a single blow. Jean Nanan was astonished. The only cut had killed a giant silver horn rhino. If you hadn't seen it with your own eyes, I would never believe such a scene. After killing the rhino, the system quickly updated the Ichuan level, which increased again. By now he had become a rank 7 apprentice. He opened his name status screen. Ichuan class, Butcher of Pigs level, God level, Apprentice rank 7 13,1% strength, 27 agility, 27 spirit, 26 class talent. Porknemesis. The Divine Blade of the Butcher class skill. Blood Shadow Scavenger level 1 effects. When attacking pigs, causes 122% additional damage to every dead pig. This talent increases by 1%. Damage received from pigs is reduced by half, and Joa was satisfied with his attributes, although I wasn't happy with one thing. His butcher knife clearly already showed signs of aging, and damage probably wouldn't last much longer. Rising through the Rangnam's body, and Joa skillfully cut the long silver horn on his head. This was a valuable material for forging equipment, and could also be sold for a good price. Hino armor. Silver horn giant was also excellent, but too heavy and inconvenient to carry like this. Ichuan left behind. Kept the horn in your backpack and slapped Shannon's shoulder. That was still there. Shock paralyzed. Let's go, what you're waiting for. Still not fully recovered. Followed in silence. Right after, witnessed something even more unbelievable along the way. Didn't matter what kind of ferocious beast appeared at the hands of Ichuan. It was basically a blow and death. If one blow wasn't enough, two were enough. In addition, John's murderous intention was so intense, which practically any beast within your field of vision. He immediately advanced and cut with the only blow, and the reasons he gave to kill were absurd. This one seems to have some stroke. That one looks sick, his fur is too long. This one painted his hair like Philip Netu. Despite being in a dangerous jungle, replete with deadly beasts, and Joa seemed to be simply slaughtering pigs in their own backyard. After walking for a while, An now seemed to remember something. To him, eyes full of curiosity. And Joa, after all, what is your requirement? And Joa answered honestly, I'm just a pig butcher. Impossible, you are just a 6th level apprentice, but can easily kill enemies 2 levels above you. At least must have an epic level combat class. Although Xianan didn't have much experience in the world, he came from a large family and had basic knowledge. Believe or not, I don't care, and John gave with his shoulders. His relationship with Xianan was purely of interest, so he had no obligation to clear up his doubts. We are almost to the side of the giant serpent. said Sunan, looking at the map with your eyes shining with excitement, and going forward. What Juan didn't expect was to find there. Not far away, a group of people was also in training, was the director of Alming, accompanied by Shuling, Ijuan Liu Long, and several students who had awakened. Combat class. Clearly, Ling led them. In an extreme training exercise. With your strength, so much for Julian. Juan and others do not act rashly. Your safety was guaranteed. Jalming reminded those of watching attentively and learn from combat experiences, since their progress represented the future of academia. At that moment, all the attention of Liu Jinlong, it was only in Shulin Chuan. Sadi being next to her already felt happy. However, Shulim Chuan was finding his attitude irritating to the extreme. As they walked, Jalming suddenly screamed, "Wait a bit, has someone ahead? Who is there? Appear now. Don't try to hide in the shadows, or don't blame me for showing no mercy." Yashua remained in orbit, slowly walking forward. The moment he and Chia Nama appeared, both sides froze. Yajuan also didn't expect to find that group there. "Yajuan, why are you? What are you doing here?" exclaimed Liu Dongjong shocked. Since he had been humiliated before the crowd by Yajuan, Liu Dongjong longed for revenge. But what a skill and life class like his was doing in the wild. "There were no pigs to beat here. Just passing through," replied Shuan calmly. "Just passing through. You believe it yourself. Bestira, I think you just can't forget your sister. Shuan, and is blatantly following us here." His thought made fun of a slightly plump girl who was after Shuling Shuan. The instant she said that, everyone's expressions have changed, as if he understood everything. No wonder that a life skill class, as well as Shuan, appeared in such a remote region. If he came just to harass Shulin Shuan. So it all made sense, and Shuan felt deeply discouraged. Asked if there really was someone on Earth who might be interested in a pig's head. If he had to leave a comment below. The group murmured among themselves. At first, Shuling Shuan hadn't thought much about the subject, but after listening to the comments, you look there, Shuan became impatient. "I thought I made it perfectly clear last time, because you're still following me. Between us there can never be any kind of relationship. Since we have been people from different worlds for a long time. Stop bothering me." When he hears those words, Ast's hand began to shake. At that moment I really wanted to shoot them all down. Those stupid pigs who thought they were always right there. But considering Alming was around, contained the impulse. He didn't like to argue with pigs. Anyway, sooner or later, a single cut would be enough. However, in the eyes of others, your neck was taken as weakness. And Longting laughed even more maliciously as he stepped forward. "And Sean, you still dare to appear in front of me? Great, very good. I was worried that you would run away, and I couldn't find you." At the same time, a long saber appeared in his hand. As soon as the blade came out of the sheath, got a cold, scary flash. That brother blade Liu Dinglong. It could really be a spiritual weapon, yes. My uncle is a blacksmith. I've seen spiritual weapons before. This blade has already reached the lower real level. Spiritual weapons were on a level totally different from ordinary weapons. Even D. Ullman was surprised. In just a few days, Liu Dinglong had already reached the level of an apprentice. For with that spiritual weapon, probably could face even a level 6 apprentice. Palming felt that I had judged correctly the potential of your students after all, but Shulian Shuan just rocked his head with difference. "Yashuan, I already warned you, leaves Kingshine City. This time I won't help you." She thought it had been hard enough in your words last time. But still, Yashuan followed like a leash to the jungle. "I help again." And that wouldn't make him believe. Mistakenly, she still had feelings for him. Watching the weather get tense, Aunt Nana approached Chuan and whispered, "And Chuan, do you have some kind of disagreement with these people?" But instead of fear, Chuan's face showed only one intensity, flaming. Your eyes were fixed on the saber in Liu Jinlong's hand, and he asked her how much his gun is worth. The question left the Nana Chia astonished for a moment, but soon replied, "A lower real rank spiritual weapon can be sold for a few 100,000. More reactions. His blade quality is only median. A few 100,000 is enough." And John felt her scream. Your father spent the whole year wielding a butcher knife to the killer, and still couldn't earn that much. Listen, Enichuan, treat the spiritual weapon as if it were already his. Made Liu's fury long explode. Dan paid butcher. Who do you think you are? Roared, raising the saber, and advancing with a blow so fast that the eyes could barely keep up. The blade howled in the air, determined to regain lost pride. Yakuan erected his butcher knife to block. A metallic bang echoed. Sparks flew everywhere. The knife in Yakuan's hand broke in half. Half the blade rotated a few times in the air, before digging into the ground. Long lithium saber remained perfectly sharp, without a single scratch. Compared to a spiritual weapon, ordinary steel was as rigid as paper. Haha, his butcher knife is broken. From now on, you won't even be able to kill pigs. Lurking Long uncontrolled laugh, finally strangling all the humiliation and resentment that there was accumulated as he prepared to kill Yashun. Jianing made no mention of intervening. In your eyes, Yashun had been too silly for provoking someone as strong and influential as Lu Long to shock everyone. Yashun just threw out the broken blade and said clearly, "To deal with you, I don't even need an eye." Liu Dinglong's face writhed in fury. "So you still can't accept reality? Very good, don't blame me for being ruthless." Once again, Liu Dinglong advanced with saber erected there. He this time decided to kill Isone. In this world, the strong kill the weak in the wild. It was nothing in common, and with your family influence, he believed that no one would use the rapport. Him and John clasped their fists, signed the leg, and took a punch straight to the chest of Liu Dinglong. At that moment, he didn't even have time to react. The sound of breaking bones echoed, making everyone's teeth cringe. Liu Dinglong's body flew back like a kite with a cut line, thrown by the punch of Ishuan. He screamed in pain while his chest sank in a grotesque bow. The visibly shattered ribs. The scene left everyone paralyzed. No one could have imagined that a simple butcherer of pigs like Ishuan would be able to defeat the Jinlong there so easily. A class of life skills, defeating a combat class. It was just absurd. Even the Dillman looked at Ishuan shocked. "You have already reached the level of a 7th grade apprentice." The moment he said that, the faces of the city's secondary school students King Shan filled with disbelief. Even Shuling Shuan was not understood. And this story sticks around. If you like, comment asking for part 2. And if you didn't leave the like at the beginning of the video, enjoy doing this now, and subscribe to the channel as well.